Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond, including Florida, where First NBC Bank is expanding now, continuing its outstanding work of providing great coverage in all areas for all of your banking needs. That's First NBC Bank. How's that? Lenny joining me now as we talk about a number of topics, not the least of which is the transfer of ownership, secession of the New Orleans Saints and New Orleans Pelicans. It changes radically. Tom Benson electing to change it from his daughter, granddaughter, grandson to his wife, Gail Benson. Lenny, this is not totally unexpected. Frankly, for those of us that have been informed about what's been transpiring, this was a strong consideration, but obviously a very difficult decision.
It is, and I think anytime any family has to deal with this, it's difficult. This is even more difficult because, in essence, you've got the public trust to deal with as well. You've got, two very visible professional franchises and all the things that go along with that are involved. This is not just the family business, so to speak. It is so much more. And at the end of the day, Tom Benson wants to put a successful product that the city of New Orleans can be proud of on the field. And he feels like this is the best way to ensure that continues to happen when he finally does pass on. And that's the thing to remember on this. He's just setting the stage for when he does pass on. This is not anything immediate that he is relinquishing, his stake in this thing in any way. This is just setting the stage for the future.
For the benefit of the fans of the New Orleans Saints and New Orleans Pelicans, it's really as simple as this. Tom Benson likes the management team he has in place. And Dennis Lauscha as his president, Mickey Loomis, of course, overseeing both organizations, unquestionably his vice presidents, all of whom will remain under this current agreement, and Sean Payton for that matter, and to the Pelicans, at least for now, certainly Dell Demps and Monty Williams. And I think that's what this is all about, is maintaining stability, because quite frankly, had there been change at the top, there probably would have been some change underneath.
There very well could have been that, and that being the case, you don't like change. And it's, New Orleanians don't like change, and one of the things that we've seen is part of the reason this franchise has been so successful, speaking more so of the Saints and the Pelicans in recent times, is because of that stability. It's rare these days. We've been, spending a lot of the month of January following all of these coaching changes in the NFL. Something we haven't had to deal with here in New Orleans in almost a decade. Just remember what happened 2 years ago, when all of the Bounty Gate, and let me just say, I hate attaching the word gate to anything, but we've done it so long, and we're seeing it again this week. That's for another segment. That said, you saw how it disrupted this franchise. That's the type of thing that Tom Benson wants to ensure does not happen again.
Well, he's working on his legacy, and he obviously feels that this is the thing to do to ensure stability long term, and I commend him for that. His other franchise, the New Orleans Pelicans, well, they came home and they scuffled for a while, but did what they had to do, in particular in the fourth quarter when they routed the Lakers 27-12 and won the game going away as a result. So they get back to 500, and it's no small measure that Anthony Davis played and obviously was huge in this game. He makes all the difference in the world. And again, the rotation changed. You never know. Nate Walters in the rotation playing significantly. Jimmer Fredette didn't get off the bench.
It's always changing, it seems like. And I mean, some of that is a result of some of the injuries that we've seen. And now we know Drew Holiday is going to be out 2 to 4 weeks with that stress reaction. Getting Anthony Davis back was certainly big. He's the best player on your team, obviously. He's one of the 5 best players in the league. In all likelihood, he will be an all-star starter when those are announced on Thursday night. And he'll be playing in New York in the second or the third weekend of February. So, but that's important, and that's what this franchise needs, is him, playing significant minutes and being back healthy again. And look, you've still got a chance to get on a little bit of a run here. Obviously, that was a wasted opportunity, if you will, with that East Coast road swing, only going 2-3 and the 3 teams you lost to. But a chance to get over 500 at Minnesota on Friday, and then you come home for a bunch. So it'd be interesting to see how this all plays out here the next couple of weeks.
Yep, Minnesota on the road, and then Dallas at home on Sunday. So, again, the opportunity is there. Dallas, a big game against a conference foe and a division foe. Minnesota's bad, but then again, can't take that for granted, as we recently learned. College basketball, Tulane, SMU, just not ready to handle that situation. SMU just a better team, and I got home and watched the very end of it after I covered the Pelicans game, and then rewound and watched a little bit of it, and SMU was just better.
They are. You could point to a number of things. Point guard is better than any of Tulane's guards, and Tulane's got very good guards, and that's not a slight there. The big men are better than anything Tulane's got inside. Those are very active, athletic big men who can pass the basketball, and that's as good a set of bigs as I've seen on a college basketball floor in a while, Kentucky notwithstanding. Obviously, they're incredibly talented, but at least in person, teams I've seen, they are awfully good.
Next up, they've got a rematch game with Memphis to be played at Smoothie King Center, no less. So hopefully they'll get some people to come out. They beat Memphis in a big road win, of course, not too long ago. LSU continues its road trip to Vanderbilt off of a very good win at Florida. And I know Florida's not what they've been, but hey, they hadn't won at the O'Connell Center since 2008. O'Connell Center since 2008. They won this game and played extremely well as they played all year long, and coming off of a maddening choke job, really, against Texas A&M.
Yeah, it's one they let get away. You maybe feel like winning at Florida was kind of even the score a little bit for letting that game at A&M get away. A chance to go get one, as we mentioned earlier in the week. You go to Vanderbilt. It doesn't matter how good, bad, or indifferent Vanderbilt is. That is a tough place to play because of the uniqueness of the building. The benches are on the baselines. The goals are a little bit different than what you see in other places with with different standards. And it's, it's interesting. And it's, having been there before, and I know you have as well, it's definitely a unique place that you want to see one basketball game at some point. But from a player standpoint, it's a difficult place to play.
Yeah, done a couple of games there. And finally, high school sports, couple of key commitments. Dante Jackson flips to LSU. Of course, you can read the story and look at video at sportsnola.com. Lenny was there. And then we broke the story with Jay Tyler electing to go to Stanford after being offered by Stanford. Great kid, great opportunity. So good for both of them, and we wish them nothing but the best.
Yeah, and interestingly, they'll both kind of play a similar kind of role. They could play wide receiver. They could play DB. They can return kicks. They're guys that are very athletic who really bring very similar skill sets, one to LSU, one to Stanford. Best of luck to both of them. And
follow our coverage of all prep sports, basketball, soccer, wrestling, everything transpiring at sportsnola.com. Lenny, have a great weekend.
All right, you too. We'll see you Monday.
That's our First NBC Bank weekend preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 32 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond, including Florida. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of sportsnola.com. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great weekend, and God bless.